and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders, in green our category 2, in blue category 3 and category 4 in red.
It's a flat 500 metres and then the only way is up. Well, we've got one rider really pushing hard on the front and it's Jonathan Cridland. 6 watts per kilo into the climb. Really strong rider and setting a fast pace here, and obviously not happy that the rest of the pack have just settled down a little bit. You can see Carlos Ospina on the front of the group at 2 watts per kilo, but Peter Millerstick deciding, no, we're not letting him go. I am going to do the chasing. Jump on, guys, let's go, let's catch him. Groups starting to be split into smaller groups, but at 26.8 kilometres, the group of 6 leading the Category 1 race are all still together. Category 4, it's really motoring. It's also motoring in Category 3 because Amaro, SS, Kansara, Velez are all together on the climb. Now my question is where is Nicholas Spratt? SS now in 12th, Kansara 13th, Velez 14th as they continue to pick off riders. They're picking off riders in the top 10 now in the Category 4 race as they start to head their way up the Everesting climb towards the checkered flag. Category 3 SS now is second on the road, only to Luke Allport, the leader in the Category 4 race. Jason Osborne leading Category 1. He's now 16 seconds ahead of Stefan van Elst in second place. He's at the 42.5 kilometre mark. 200 metres ahead of them, X100, Bjarhead and Fawcett, 3 riders locked wheel to wheel. SS has ridden clear of the Category 3 race field on the climb. There is the snowy UCI banner signifying the finish of the race. SS, your race winner today in Category 3 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Madame, messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club. Catégorie au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal là aussi. Ah, c'est le dernier entraînement grandeur nature avant le championnat du monde, bien entendu, sur la plateforme, dans un format qui sera complètement différent, hein, je le précise, lors de la demi-finale. SS qui prend les commandes et il a 7 secondes d'avance, hein, c'est pas mal du tout ce qu'il nous fait là. Il va aller rattraper des petits nouveaux, notamment la personne de Frédéric Schauberg et de Cassiano Medeiros en mission. On est curieux de savoir un petit peu l'état de forme d'un Lionel Voujacid. Son grand objectif, c'est forcément le mondial. Et il m'avait confié qu'il se préparait exclusivement pour cela. Et donc, du coup, forcément un petit peu baissé de régime ces dernières semaines. Et on repasse dans cette forêt. C'était le décor du début de course chez les filles tout à l'heure. Alors donc il y aura à un moment donné des petits cerfs hein, qui vont faire leur apparition normalement. Un mot avec Kansara. Il y a encore Velez. Je crois qu'on tient notre top 5 de la journée avec Henri Heuss également, le sud-africain. 5 nationalités différentes. Alors, l'arrivée, la voici, au sommet de l'Everest, quasiment, voilà. SS qui vient s'imposer ici, au terme d'une épreuve vraiment très exigeante. Bravo à lui pour sa première course en catégorie 3. Eh bien, c'est la victoire pour SS. Bravo.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الأربعة والفئات الأربعة. الفئة باللون الأحمر، الفئة الرابعة والفئة الثالثة بالأزرق والفئة الثانية باللون الأخضر والأولى باللون الأصفر. يتحرك الآن في هذه اللحظات في المرتفع، يتقدم الكوكبة هنا في الفئة الثالثة مع مشاركة أولى مع هذه الفئة. أبجريد رائع ومستوى عالي واكسلريشن
ويصل إلى
ممتاز.
لاعبين من الفئة الرابعة في بداية 3 كيلو الأولى. كابتن عبد الله اللاعب اس اليوم يثبت نفسه في هذه الفئة الثالثة كما أرى. نرى الآن ومحاولة بريكاوي من اللاعب مثل الكسندر في الكيلو 12 و900 متر مع قبل الصعود الثالث. كامنسكي اليوم يظهر بمستوى جيد عند الكيلو 27. كامنسكي يحاول العودة من جديد إلى البوديوم، إلى الظهور من جديد. اليوم يتماسك ما زال ضمن الكوكبة مع جيسون أوزبورن في نهاية هذا الصعود عند الكيلو 27، نهاية الصعود الرابع ما قبل الأخير.
برافو برافو، أداء ممتاز للدراجة الإماراتي مستر إكساندريت. وصلنا إلى آخر 10 كيلو مترات، ولكن منها صعود قوي وهو صعود مرتفع. في حياته ما شارك مع الفئة الثالثة، هذه أول مرة يشهد الآن هذا التحدي. نعم، يلعب مع الفئة الثالثة لأول مرة. اس من دولة الإمارات. يلا يا نجم، يلا يا نجم، فرحنا بأدائك الجميل.
اس الآن ينافس على القميص المنقط وأيضا على القميص الأصفر. وعلى اليمين اللاعب لوك ألبرت من الفئة الرابعة. اللاعب لوك ألبرت كان بالفئة الثالثة، تراجع إلى الفئة الرابعة، وهنا اللاعب اس هو الذي كان بالفئة الرابعة.
هذا كلان تيم القوي. نشوف الآن المستويات القوية، الكل ينافس على الصدارة. تشتعل المنافسة في الكيلومترات الأخيرة. الكيلومترات الأخيرة اس قائد المسيرة هنا في هذا اليوم. ينطلق الآن في آخر 100 متر وسط هذا المكان الجميل. نعم، وهذه هي الآن هنا نشاهد أمامكم. نعم، لوحة النهاية. يصل إلى خط النهاية أول الواصلين اس يوي كلان تيم بطلا لهذا التحدي.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 2 in September. It's great to be back with you. Thank you very much if you joined us for the women's race. This is the men's race. You can tell it's been an incredibly busy period with the semi-finals of the UCI World Championships. Just as busy, Emma Martin.
Yes, and I'm here, and I am so looking forward to this race in Belgium today.
So am I. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. We had a cracking women's race. Please do watch that back. If you haven't seen it, we're not going to give any spoilers. But oh my goodness, I'm surprised I actually can speak after that race. It was fantastic to watch. A very similar but subtly different course to the men's. Not just because of the distance.
Well, 45 kilometres of racing, 492 metres of climbing for our men. Same start as the women, 6 kilometres pan flat into the Kortekeer. Then it starts to kick. The Kortekeer, the longest climb of the day, 3.9 kilometres with an average gradient of 2.5%. But it kicks to 17% before it drops and then climbs again. Through the Tissenhoven Oval Sprint, we go up the Valkenberg, up the Eichenberg, up the Quermont and up the Pattenberg, and then we run and climb to the finish.
Really tricky finish, flat section, sweeping right bend that ascends up over onto the bridge, over the moat, in and through the gatehouse and across in towards the main keep of the castle. Who's going to be king of the castle? Who will be the chief rider in and through? Who will be a true Flandrian today on the hills that face our riders? 4 race categories as always on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. As you can see, category 4 in red, category 3 in blue, category 2 in green, and our last riders away, category 1 in yellow. 5 minutes between categories 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And between categories 2 and 3, a whole 10 minutes window for the riders to make up. Let's start off, though, with our category 4 riders. We have our riders here in lots of teams. So the Chain Gang team, Stefan Proust. We've got the Level Avengers, Rusinac, Rooney, Brito, Francis. Level Up Racing with Westfielder and Warren. The Mighty Ducks, Tortoretto and Kutab, and the Spinergy team with Skretin, Otruba and Cronje. The Anzacs team, well, they've got McMurtry, David Winfield, Navarra and Cradland. The Upcycle squad with Lloyd and Mayotte, and the ZTBR, captained by Osmar Vaz, along with riders from 20 nations. taking to the start line of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier race number 2. We are about to leave the start pen. Away we go. This is the start of what is going to be an action-packed 45 kilometres of racing for all the riders who are the heads of the Category 1 house. It's Category 4 out and away, 6 kilometres of pound flat, but often action-packed racing, because this is rarely a smooth and tranquil start for our Category 4 riders.
Smooth and tranquil start on a Sunday?
No, we don't need that on the
Never.
Sunday Race Club.
This race field really stretched already out of the start pen, and Field of Proust right up there. Ola Warren, Blair Taylor, Brian White is in there. These riders all moving on. John Back is there. Diego Navarro is right up the front. Eduardo Mercier is there too. The pack continuing to rotate and change. The length of the pack, well, it's still long. Is this going to stay together? No, you can't have run out of batteries already, because David Milano is in there, as well as Kevin Horsey. These riders really moving out of the pen. 43 kilometres an hour at the moment. They're only 700 metres into this race. And the pack, well, I think it's all starting to concertina back together again.
Yep, that compression after the initial kick out. We saw our leaders opening up the gaps, coming back together. Now, one man on your screens who's always almost ever present is Jeff Rooney, the man, the first person to complete the Everesting challenging on MyWhoosh. Absolutely, we are not worthy.
Round of
Indeed,
applause in the
absolutely.
studio.
Big round of applause, Jeff. Fantastic effort. Amazing to see. We were in the middle of events, but actually got to follow it and follow his progress online. It was really good to see. If you want to get some insights on just what it takes, Jeff was also a guest on the Inside the Ride podcast, a new podcast from MyWhoosh that you can pick up on Spotify and wherever you get your podcast from. Do jump on board there. You've got Cy Bradley and Matt Smithson were joined by Jeff for an explanation of just what it takes. Do jump on board that and catch up with that action. Really, really good to hear Jeff on that and to see that he's looking so fresh after basically climbing Everest.
On his bike.
On his bike.
Well,
but not in a real world kind of scenario, just in a on the bike avatar kind of way. But he had to put those pedal strokes in. Would you ever consider it, Emma?
What, Everesting?
Yes, on the bike.
No.
Me neither. I'll be brutally honest.
I have done some outdoor supports
for Everesting.
For Everesting challenges.
Oh, okay.
And I have to say, wow, hats off to anybody who achieves it.
Well, our riders in Category 4 already away. Categories 2 and 1, there's still plenty of time for them. Over 17 minutes for Category 2 and 22 minutes for Category 1. So they're just going to be getting themselves into the pen. The preparations for most of our riders are starting a long way out. And it's a long way out, actually, for Scott Francis to go off the front. He saw him go clear and then go, ooh, maybe not so much. The riders going through the sprint, if you're new to Sunday Race Club, and if you were watching before, apologies for a little bit of repeats, but we do have so many new viewers each and every week that we do try and cover off everything for everybody on every single show. We have our riders. They're represented by their avatar. You can see Musa Dumba here on the left. That is the man in real life, out and pedaling away on that Ventone bike. On the right-hand side of your screen, his avatar dead center. You can see his numbers up at the top center of that main screen. So the watts he's producing in green when he's in the draft, when he's in the wind, they are in white. The time, the heart rate, the pedal cadence, the number of revs per minute he's pedaling. You can see the distance covered out of the 45k. Top right-hand side of the screen, the course profile. That is basically 0, a flat line at the moment, and the yellow line indicating where the riders are. The course going from right to left. And then the riders around him on the right and the radar view on the left. A quick run-through of what you've got in front of you. In front of our riders in Category 3, it's the start line. Let's run through the teams first of all. The Anzacs with representation in Category 3 as well. Julio Orrego and Pablo Junior de Manuel in there. Level Racing, well, they've got Captain Ben Kirk, never to be said without the captain in front of it. And Nicholas Hagland, he's second in command. We have Level Up Racing's Justin Roy and the living legend that is Luke Allport, the man who has had a verb named after him. And of course, we have a pro beginner team. Now they're representing their team captain. Is going to be Francis Pino. Going to be interesting to see how he gets on today. A huge race field with 20 nations represented.
Yeah, it is indeed. And we're in with Francis Pino on the start line at the moment as they are lined up and ready to go. The final seconds now counting down for Category 3 before they are released out into Belgium. Away go Category 3 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is Qualifier 2 in September. I can't believe it's September. But they are off and out into Belgium. Pino, Spratt, Kochkov, Mayer, Smythe all in there. Peterson, Ramirez, Velez all in the mix. This is a huge race field of Category 3 riders. 62 riders on the start sheets today. Boy, it's a big one, and boy, those hills are coming.
And 20 nations, those people who are paying attention, I hope you were paying attention at the back of the class. 20 nations in Category 4, 20 nations in Category 3. For those of you wondering if it's the same 20 nations, somebody's bound to be out of all of our viewers.
Have you checked?
I have indeed checked, and I can definitely confirm they are not the same nations.
Brilliant.
It wasn't a big task.
Was it not?
No, I looked for the most unusual countries and then just cross-referenced them. It was not difficult.
Okay.
Even I could manage that stat, and I know I'm pretty rubbish at stats compared to you.
Well, you know, each to their own, and Pino at the moment right on the front of the Category 3 pack, Calderon right on the front of the Category 4 pack. But at 4 kilometres into the race, while the Category 3 pack is all still together at the moment, not quite 1 kilometre done yet, at 4K, we've got a rider off the back of the Category 4 pack already. Well, the first 6 kilometres of this race are pan flat, and the packs normally roll at a very quick pace. You need to be smart and you need to be quick-witted because you've got to stay on the group. You can easily get dropped, and if you do at this pace, the pack is rolling so fast it's hard to get back on.
So the latest version of MyWhoosh 3.8.3, the latest edition. Lots of updates, and I was keeping an eye on the MyWhoosh Indoor Cycling Facebook page actually, and just watching what's going on there. There has been a lot of updates on the run in through to the World Championships, as obviously everything's been checked, double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked, and whatever 24 times checked is. However, there was a note on that it is going to back off a little bit. So if you think you've been downloading plenty of data, make sure that you've got the latest one. We will always keep improving on MyWhoosh. That is always the target, and you are going to find at some point you have to get rid of what was the old stuff and put in the new stuff. But if you want it to be on a Spectrum ZX81, you need to go down to some kind of vintage computer fair. We are going to be improving all the time, and it's going to be really, really key to keep up with that. The latest version has some great drafting, and that is what you referred to, really, isn't it, Emma? That when you are in the draft, you save energy. You can do that in the bunch. You are out the back. It's one rider doing the work on their own.
So if you take a look, we're in with Torsten Holtz at the moment. Oh, we've just switched, and the example is now not so good because SS is on the front and he's
well, let's change it over. We know where he's going to be. He's going to be smart.
What I was actually going to say was when you can take a look at the individual riders' watts when they're in green, they're in the draft. Take a look at that. Allport is drafting at the moment at 9.3 watts per kilo. Henry Yeast is now coming up and over on top of the sprint. His numbers are now gone white as he goes to the front of the pack, indicating he's no longer in the draft. The draft is important. It saves you time, it saves you energy, but well, at some point you've got to stick your nose out front.
You have. I'll tell you something. I saw 1084 watts coming out there in that sprint. That is good. As somebody who is much better at producing lots of watts than producing watts on a long-term basis. That is good. The man, though, with the smart riding there, producing the watts and using the group to come through. Super smart riding by Henry East. Good to see Henry once again. Back on the bike, Henry based over in New Zealand, a man from the Republic of South Africa initially. Good to see you, Henry, and nice to have you with us on Sunday Race Club as always. Absolute superstar, and yes, I do wave back if you're not in the studio. You just can't see it.
Well, that's very true. So Johan Moreno right on the front here, pushing on the long stretch on the group, actually following that sprint in Category 3. Category 4, well, they are at 6.1 kilometres. They're at the base of the Kortekeer. They are the first group to hit the climb. They face 3.9 kilometres of climbing. Well, that's not technically correct. The climb segment is 3.9 kilometres in length, but you go up the first kicker of the Kortekeer, you go over the top, and then you drop into the dell before you climb again. So whilst the average gradient is 2.5%, that includes the downhill section. So actually, the steepest part of the climb is at the top of this first kicker. It's around 3.5% at the moment. Towards the top of this first section, it will kick to over 17%, and it will really stretch our packs coming into the base of the climb.
Really key to be in the right position at the right time. You see Alexis Agudelo here really holding that position in the group. The group's starting to split. You don't want to be behind that split. If you think it's an effort to get up the climb, it's even worse if you're then having to close down a gap because it opened because somebody in front let that wheel go. Even when you're on the climb, these riders are traveling at 27 kilometers an hour. The draft effect is key. That is fast enough to take advantage if you are behind. You can see riders 1, 2, 3 starting to be distanced. There's a danger of a big gap opening in the middle of this group, in fact, and that is going to need to be closed down just below the bottom of the screen here.
Yeah.
There are 2 distinct groups starting to form if they're not careful, and it means that those riders at the back of that long chain that have not already been detached are really going to have to work, but the pace is on. This first part of the climb is steep. It kicks again. You can see top right hand side of your screen that flat line that we saw on the first 6 kilometers now being replaced by the course profile. The riders moving from left to right on there, the yellow line indicating where they are. Gonzalez in here, the fan going, the air blowing, the legs are spinning, and he's on this climb. He's looking good at the minute.
Yeah, he is indeed. And the riders, actually, there's a big group of riders towards the front of this. They are about to come on to the steeper sections of the climb now. You can see that on the top right-hand corner of your screen, the yellow downward line indicating where the riders are at the moment. They are about to hit the steep sections. It's 10.5, 11, 11.8, 12.3. Here we go. This is the steep section. We're in with Ola Warren. Warren has taken a win here before in Belgium in Qualifier 1 of July. Can Warren be right at the top? He knows exactly what is needed to be there. You need to watch your positioning, and Warren is. He's moving through into 5th place at the moment. White, Connell, West, Cridland, Warren, Winfield, McMurtry and Pruce all in the mix at the moment.
And good to see John Cridland in here, just tapping away nicely, sitting in a really good position, sitting in 5th position at the moment, holding that front group, making sure that he's with the pace, not necessarily going any faster than he needs to here, but making sure he's holding station. Well, top 5-10 places is absolutely key on this first climb.
Well, talking about the top 5-10 places, look at the Antipodean representation in that top 10 at the moment.
Did you swallow a geographical map for breakfast?
Of course. But Connell, McMurtry, West, White, Cridland, all up there and all battling in Category 4. Category 3, we've got 3 riders clear at the moment on the run into the Kortekeer. While it is Wayne Smythe at the front of the group with Kirchner and Spratt. It's an 11-second gap back to the chasing group. If they turned their heads, those avatars, they'd see them coming behind. But it is still stretching. The power of Smythe, Kirchner and Spratt, the 3-up breakaway at the moment, really starting to motor.
This is an interesting move coming in. Multiple reasons to go on the offensive early. 1, to put climbers under pressure. 2, to open a gap and make sure that you've got a little bit of sliding room on the group behind. We'd often see this in things like the Tour of Flanders, where riders would go on the attack early, going away from town, from the départ, from the start, and then try and get a gap. The early breakaway, if one went, would be able then to go up the climb at a better pace for them. And then when the big hitters came out, after all, those riders who are absolute climbing specialists, they would come chasing after.
Well, SS in the mix with Velez and Giraldo, Kirchner and Smythe. Well, it's that group 12 seconds down the road. They've got 12 seconds going in, and you know, they're no slouches, those 3. They could stay away.
Well, we're going to have to go back to them to see whether they have stayed away a little bit later on, because we have down in the start pen Category 2 waiting to go. The Category 2 riders wearing those green jerseys, the Al Wathba QTR Pro Squad. Hassan Sultan, Ivan Nuki, Mohammed Al Qais. What a squad.
I know.
We've got the GOATS team there, captained by Jonas Bjarhed. We've got the Golden Balls Reserve. It is, of course, Eric Rimborg, Level NSA Racing Man. We've got MyWhoosh Werewolves, Theme Graves, Walter Koistonen. We have a Restart to Becker in there. We've got Rule 5, Heaney, Harvey, and Fawcett. And then we have the UAE Clan team, Mr. X100. In here, he was really on form last time around. Then we have UAE Falcons, Al Tanaji and Zaid Hamdan. Walter Clays, a man who we saw in action in the World Championship. What can he do today? It's going to be What's Up, and away they go.
Well,
the What's Up team represented by Clays.
Oh, they are indeed. And Nuki is in the mix right in the middle of the pack, Category 2 pack, coming out of the start pen and on to the course. Ross Fawcett is in here as well as side Keradine. Rinborg, as you mentioned. Holweiler is here. Darn Goodall, McCarroll, Krasnich, Brune, Power, Kayan, both Burke and Khan in the mix. Mendakowicz is here. He's taken a win here before on this course in Category 2. In fact, back in Qualifier 1 in July when we were here on the course, 4 seconds separated the top 7 riders in Category 2. The strength and depth of the Category 2 race field, we very often talk about it, but it does get to the finish line together time and time again.
And Ivan Nuki, the rider we're in here from Uganda, one of those really strong riders. One of, are you ready for this? 22 nations represented, the most of any of our race fields. Massive race fields on the entry list.
Yes, really, really is. 207 riders on the start sheets today on the Men's Sunday Race Club. Great race field. Not the largest start sheet we've had in terms of numbers. It has gone over 210 before, but very, very close, and great to see the ranks swelling. Now, our biggest race field today on the start sheets, Category 3 at 62 riders. Category 4 very close behind, 58. Category 2, 51, and Category 1, 36 riders on that start sheet today.
While that compact and bijou group of Category 1 riders will be heading out chasing Category 2, 3 and 4, but they've got a little while yet before they go. Now, great to see 2 of our riders contrasted with their 2 avatars here. Ivan Nuki here can see Ivan once again. I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping going to bump into Ivan at some point during the course of the World Championship finals, which are going to be in Abu Dhabi, home of the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club, where Ivan Nuki is one of the key coaches down there. It's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. It's going to be really interesting to see how Musa Duba goes on, another of our Ugandan riders there. And it's good to see. What I really love about Sunday Race Club is that we have riders from around the globe. So there are riders who are riding in daytime, who are riding in warm tropical conditions. It might be their summer in the hemisphere. We have people from the north, from the south, all the way around the globe, all different time zones. People getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning.
Well, at the moment in the States, some of our USA riders will be riding at 3, 4 a.m, depending upon what time zone they're on. Other riders, those Antipodean riders, will be riding at night.
And riders racing at all times of the day in those World Championship semi-finals. Going to be great to see how that goes. If you haven't watched them, do watch them back. We probably referenced them. We try not to give any spoilers away. By next week, I will guarantee in next week's show, we will talk about who won and who was on form in that.
But not right now.
And if you haven't watched it by next week, well, tough luck.
Can't believe you just said that. Well, Ross Fawcett pushing on through the end of the Ghent City Sprint here off the front of Category 2. We know the riders, the start sheets were out on Friday, and the racing is on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel for those semi-finals. Take a look. Absolutely storming both in the women's and the men's. Really, really good racing, and we see really good racing week in, week out on the Sunday Race Club. And at the moment here in Belgium, 45 kilometres of racing for qualifier race number 2 in September, 492 metres of climbing for men. And whilst there are 5, okay, I'm going to wind that back. Whilst there are 5 climb segments on the course, technically there are 7 deciding climbs in the race.
Okay. Now that you're thoroughly confused about climb numbers, let's go to the very easiest number of them all, number 1, Category 1. The last race start, the Alpha Jaw squad from Daniel Turek, David Talbot, Lionel Vashastin, Mikhail Kaminsky. We've got the hard to guard, Jason Osborne, Michael Knudsen, Stefan Van Elst. The team from the Venga boys on the start list, Cal Power, Ricardo Panizza, Seb Devet and Vidal Mayer. 3 teams covering what is some very strong squads. We have got basically 11 riders in teams from 15 nations on the start list, but it's a big field. Not the biggest, but it should be, in theory, the fastest.
Well, yes, it should be the fastest, and I'm wondering whether we're going to see new names pop up on that top 5 this week as away go Category 1. You're so lucky you don't have cameras on us in the studio, because Matt is crying with laughter on the other side at the moment as the Category 1 pack sweep out of the start pen. Nair is there, Plantero, Ratto, Power, Devert is in the mix. They're all moving up and fast out the start pen. The stretch on the Category 1 pack already evident at 42 kilometres an hour. The flat 6 kilometres of racing before we get to the Kortekeer. Well, Jasper Paradiens is right up the front, but it's Kaminsky who's laying the power down and the pace at the moment. So Mikhail Kaminsky setting the pace on the front of this group. Ricardo Panizza is in the mix, so is Jasper Paradiens. These riders wanting, Kaminsky wanting a hard race today.
He is. He was just actually chasing his countryman there, Masik Mendakowicz, who was sitting on the back of the pack for the Category 2 race field with Hassan Sultan. Now Mikhail Kaminsky in action. As always, looking in focus. We do see him regularly because he's one of our regular contenders in the racing, making it hard from the word go here as well. Anybody who thinks that Mikhail Kaminsky cannot stay away from this group, you haven't watched Sunday Race Club, we know he has got the potential to do that. However, quick answer coming from Michael Knudsen. Lyndon Milostic also starting to close down here. Ricardo Panizza. If I was in this group, I wouldn't necessarily want this to happen on the basis that a large proportion of the riders here are riders who have raced. And not just raced any race, they've raced the semi-finals of the World Championships. That is going to be tough on legs. So a quick stretch out here. I think Mikhail Kaminsky is wanting to see who is up for the racing today and who is in just realistically just to tick their legs round.
Well, if he is, he's really proven it early, because we've already got a couple of riders dropped off the back of the group and maybe 1 or 2 riders in danger as well. So Mikhail Kaminsky took the win here in Belgium when we were here in June. It was Ollie Jones in July and Zach Nair in April. So we've had 3 different winners from Category 1 the last 3 times we have been on the course. Will Kaminsky do the double today, or will Knudsen take the win? Will one of our other riders take the win today and make it 4 different riders on that top step out of 4 races in Belgium? Well, Stefan Van Elst on the screen there, calm, considered in the pack at the moment, not playing the game of racing off the front. Could be a great tactic not to respond to the early pace.
I've decided I might have a new nickname for Stefan Van Elst. Iceman. Because he's super cool and super cold and absolutely clinical in his racing. I think he could be Iceman.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, Knudsen and Kaminsky, the 2 riders in the mix at the moment. I tell you who is moving forward, and that's Lyndon Milostic, the young rider who not old enough to qualify to race for the semi-finals, still an under 18. And I tell you something, I've been so impressed with this young rider. He really is one to watch for the future, because he's progressed from Category 2 into Category 1, and he's absolutely not let that phase him. He had his first top 10 finish last week in Category 1. The rider is getting better and better. Well, again, city sprint times on your screen. Henry Yeast from Category 3 setting the fastest time. We saw that sprint and the phenomenal amount of power coming out of those Category 3 riders. 22.217 seconds. Lyndon Milostic, the rider from Category 1, coming through in second. Then we go back to Category 3, Moreno and Bradley. Knudsen, Category 1, slipping in there. All ports. Then Ross Fawcett setting the fastest time in Category 2. Pinot, Cadiz and Kirk. Just Category 4 riders not on the screen. And if I I take a quick stroll, they're not far back because Brian White in category 4 setting the fastest time, coming through in 17th overall on that first Ghent City Sprint.
Well, a little bit further down the road, category 2 now heading at 6.3k into the early slopes of the Kortekeer here. A critical climb. We see that time and time again. Our riders really have got this course dialed with its multiple climbs, those that are part of the climb segments and those that are not. It is a pretty brutal course, but the Kortekeer absolutely key. You've got to be in contention on the Kortekeer to be in contention on the rest of the race route.
Yes.
Now, people will have heard me say this on the previous show, in the women's show. No apologies really for that. Every summit needs to be treated like
a finish. I was thinking you were nicking my line again.
Oh, would I do a thing like that?
Yes.
That's very true, I would. But no, I wouldn't. I'd steal it, then give you credit for it. Don't worry. It is definitely like a finish line. But for me, this is critical. This is the foundation of your race performance today.
Well,
if you are here, you set a great performance on here, you build yourself, you are going to make that initial selection. To chase back from here, it can be done, but it's rarely done.
Well, and what we tend to see in Belgium on the men's course play out is the Kortekeer makes a big selection. It makes one of the first selections. It is the longest climb at 3.9 kilometres, and that's where the first selection and the big selection is made. What we tend to see then on some of the shorter climbs is because we've got a strong group of riders who have made it over the first long climb, they tend to be able to stay together, and just we start to see 1s, 2s and 3s dropped off the back. It gets smaller, but it gets smaller slower. And then we get that 36.6 kilometre mark where the Quermont comes. 2.2 kilometres with an average gradient of 4.2%. But again, it has some steep sections. And that's where, because we are within 10 kilometres of the finish, we tend to see a really big kick. And if that's not broken the group, then comes the Patenberg. It's only 400 metres long, but 11.7% average gradient. We've seen riders kick and win there.
So on your screens, the riders kicking the way up in category 2, going up this section here, the first part of the Kortekeer. Sad Carradine on our screens, working hard. We regularly get a wave of Sad Carradine when he's on. He's very attentive of both the show
he's
and the screen.
He's working a bit hard now.
If he was waving now, I'd be very worried, because it would show that he wasn't paying enough attention to the racing, because the racing is on. This is key. Be in the group. Be at the front. Be in position going off. Do not get caught the wrong side of a gap. Do not put too much energy in here so that you cannot respond on part 2, so that you're not in position on part 2. Really, really critical. Where is the gap going to go? Where's the break going to be? We've already seen riders distanced on the way up. We are seeing big splits, and we're seeing it open up. If you're behind, you can chase on, but the riders on the front here, Mr. X100, Tatu Koistonen, along with Philip Graves, Alex Heaney, Matthias Van He, really pushing here. They want to make this hard. They do not want to let groups get back together again, and they continue to put riders under pressure at the back of this group. Some riders actually being distanced into the descent. If you are a lightweight climber, going downhill immediately afterwards is not always your favourite territory.
Well, and also we see riders really utilise the attack on the descent to gain that momentum, because then you move quicker and you stretch the gap. There may be a 1, 2, 3 second gap at the top of the climb, but if you kick into the downhill section straight off, you utilise that momentum and your pace picks up quicker and the gap can extend rather than come back together. Well, the category 2 riders just gone off our screens. The category 1 riders coming up to the polka dot banner, signifying the start of the Kortekeer climb for them. And Trojanowski is in there, Milastic, Power, Dvert, Pucker, all in the mix here at the front of the group. That's the polka dot banner. They are now on the Kortekeer. Now, Matt, the Kortekeer used in the Tour of Flanders for the first time in 1988.
Ooh, I actually can't remember.
Can you remember that?
No, I can't remember 1980. I can remember the 90s pretty well, watching the grainy race footage on an old VHS tape, watching sort of my heroes going into these self-same climbs. Josiah Betty here on his way in to the climb. You can see at the moment kicking down hard here in with this lead group, the man who represented Brazil in the World Championship semi-finals out of the saddle here, kicking on hard here and looking good at the moment. A real historic climb in the Tour of Flanders, and really interesting to see how these riders approach it. Will anybody be roaring like a lion of Flanders, or will they be crumbling? We're like a Flanders flag. We will see. There are lots of Flanders references at the moment. We'll tell you why in a bit. No spoilers on that one. But
it's just fortuitous that a number of things have come together this weekend.
Indeed, it is indeed fortuitous. If only I could control lottery numbers in the same way, I probably right now would have an open-air studio somewhere sunny. But instead of being in underneath all the acoustic treatment. Right. Okay, watching the riders in Category 2 approaching the summit of the Kortekeer. The riders in Category 1 on the way up this climb. The pace is on. They're winding this, but this is not a flat-out attack. We are not seeing attack pace. We are seeing put the pressure on pace in Category 1. In Category 2, the leading group, they've not just gone clear. They've opened up a yawning chasm between them and the chasing group behind, because Category 2 leaders, that group is really together. They're going to come into this tight left-hand turn. Once they go round this turn, the polka dot banner will come. One of these riders in this lead group is going to take away the polka dot skin suit as the fastest rider up the climb. That is good, because it means that we can identify the rider who is fastest on climb number 1. Now, when we go on from climb number 1, what you will find is that Matthias Van He may be under pressure. At the moment, he's the rider with that polka dot skin suit. However, each of our categorized climbs has points awarded. Those points translate to the ranking in the King of the Mountains. Van He leading.
Well, Van He is indeed leading, and 19 riders went through in that leading group. 3 riders just off the back, Simon Walter, John Brune and X100. But it's looking to me like they've closed down the gap and they are back in the mix. So 21 riders all together over the top of the first climb in that Category 2 race today. The Kortekeer has done damage, but 21 riders progress through in that leading group. Well, I tell you, actually, it's 20 because John Brune not quite on the back yet, but he's working at it.
He is working at it at the moment. Going to be interesting to see how it all plays out as we continue onwards here. Classic terrain here in Belgium. 10.8k covered for the riders in Category 2. Meanwhile, the leader on the road, that is Brian White. Brian's lead at the moment in Category 4 from Jeff Rooney in that chasing pack. 49 seconds, which would indicate to me that White is over the top and winding the pace up into the descent here, as we see the riders behind climbing, challenging, but the pace is down. Now, Proust is going to take away second spot, then Warren, Rooney, Rusinek, Leonor, McMurtry, and they're scratching big pack of riders. They're at 19.6k, top of the Valkenburg, and at the top of the Valkenburg, you've got this long transition.
Well, you do have long transition, and Brian White might have been the first rider in Category 4 up and over the Valkenburg, but he's definitely not the fastest.
Okay.
In fact, he's currently 15th on the leaderboard in terms of time. The chase group all going up quicker than White. So Proust, Warren, Stretting, Rooney, McMurtry, Rusinek, West, Cridland, Carvajal, Leonor, Connell, Winfield, Dadson, Navarro, Sommerville, Calderon, all going up in that chase group quicker than Brian White.
So let's see if White can continue onwards in Category 4. He's right at the front of the race field. The leading group with the most distance still to cover are the leaders in Category 1. You can see them on your screen in the centre at the moment. Chasing group behind, trying to close that gap down. We're in with the Iceman, Stefan Van Elst. I'm going to make this stick if it kills me. On the way into part 2 of this climb. This is the run up. This is where it gets tough. So you can see Kaminsky, Vajesin and Van Elst. Those riders making the way up the climb in this leading group. You can see them get out of the saddle. The big kick coming in and down. Vajesin out of the saddle. Kaminsky out of the saddle. Van Elst out of the saddle here. This push, it gets steep. It eases, and there's a little kick as you just come into that tight left-hand turn. We've seen the rest of the leading groups go round. Can they shed anybody else? And the answer is going to be yes. There are riders who cannot stay with this pace. There are riders who are now feeling the pain in their legs. It's taking its toll. They're being shed. They're losing ground. This is for the first real big selection. Who will be in this leading group coming round over the top of the Kortekeer and down into the descent? The summit comes at 9.9 kilometers of this 45-kilometer course. Another rider detached. Bye-bye. See you later. We're off. You can't stay with us. You're going to have to make your own way to the finish. It is well and truly Top Gear rules for everybody here. You get dropped, you get left behind. It's going to be critical to stay in this group today. Push from Michael Knudsen here. He knows that if he can keep this pace on, they could shed another rider. Even in these late stages, it's stretching. I think they're all going to stay together. It continues upwards. Classic Flandrian style. It's not just uphill to the banner, it's uphill beyond the banner. And that makes it extra hard for the chasing riders. Now come the chase group. The chase group coming through the summit, through that finish of the climb segment. They will have lost substantial time. This group need to get that pace up and make sure that that gap is established.
Well, I'll tell you, this is phenomenal racing in Category 1. So Knudsen taking the fastest time, 6 minutes, 27 seconds for Yasin Talbot, Van Elst, Plantero, Kaminsky, Power, Paradians, Dvert and Pucker, all coming through in the leading group of 10. Millerstick, Panizza and Nair is the chasing group of 3.
And how much longer did it take the chasing group of 3 to go up the climb? Do we know? That's going to be a key question to find out what that is. I made it about 7-8 seconds or so as we went over the top. We'll get that confirmed a little bit later on as we go further down the road. I'm sure we will see what the gap is. Meanwhile, Category 2, who went over the top earlier on, we've got a break going on already. The gap has opened up. We're in with Mr. X100. He's got company. We've got Bjarhead. We've got Theme. We've got Grays, a Spina, Van He in here. Winfield's chasing behind Van He in that polka dot skin suit, and behind him, big group of chasers split on the way down here. This is really good racing. Choose your moment. Make sure you put in an attack. Make sure you put in a kick here. This is going to be really, really critical. We are now at the moment at 14.5k. We're just coming into the flatlands at the moment. This is the drop down. Let's see how these riders continue to push here as they make their way across this flat section. Bjarhead in here. Jonas Bjarhead, another of our regularly strong riders. Constant and working well. This group has to get it together and get it together fast. You've just got to split in the group behind. Make it count. Don't sit there and let it come back. It should be a criminal offence.
Well, I have to say I'm jealous of Bjarhead's garage because look at the size of that space. But Jonas Bjarhead absolutely putting that space to great use at the moment, right in the mix here. Ospina, Graves, Theme, Bjarhead, Downey, Van He, Winfield. It's a who's who of Category 2 riders all in the mix. X100 on the front. They've got a gap. That's the chase group behind, and that chase group is now coming at pace, trying to close this down and bring this all back together as one large group. It was 21 riders. The chase group want it to be 21 riders again.
And they're coming, and you can see Graves is aware of the danger here. He knows that they're going to come back. That work that they've done is going to be gone. And the rest of the riders need to pick this pace up. Do not let that group come back. If they come back on, you've suddenly gone. You had a selection of 8. You had a 1 in 8 chance of taking away the win. You've just returned it to 1 in 21. What are you doing, guys? Come on, this is where you've got to push. Really make it hard. Maybe 3 riders get across. Okay, so it's still 11. It's better than 21. Do you want to really risk it? Do you want to force it into next time? You've got the gap. Make it work.
Mendakowicz is putting at 11 watts per kilo at the moment on the flatlands here in Category 2. 16 kilometres into a 45-kilometre race to chase on. So is Frédéric Grambert. He's in the mix. Look at the work he's doing to get back onto that group.
They know that they've got to make the junction. They've got to get in there. Grambert really working hard, pushing here. Frédéric Grambert, look at the screen. He knows this is a critical moment. He's got company here. He's got Heaney in front. If they can make contact now, 16.2k. The Valkenburg climb starts. That kicks in 18.3. It's going to be really, really smart. Get on the wheels.
Recover.
Don't let it go. Come on, guys. Last few meters, last few push. Get on board. get in those slipstream, make the most of this. You can just see Mistakes 100 just dropping a little bit back. He's going to bring these riders in, I think, here.
Do you know, such sportsmanship there. I mean, they've dug in, they've worked hard, they've nearly made it. May as well give them a helping hand for the final few seconds. But it's Ivan Nuki on the front of the chase group. And I tell you something, this chase group are not out of it yet.
This is where they've got to push. Ross Fawcett, James Krasnich, Sir Carradine, Simon Walton, Ivan Nuki. I think Zach Patterson also in this group as well. It looks to me like Bert Kern in here. This group, they're seeing the gap. They know where it's at, and the problem they've got is that you've now got Mistakes 100 going on the front. He saw those chasers get in. He now does not want to let any more riders come in. You've made the call, you've got the junction, and these riders are going to be spitting feathers because they have not made that group. They were in contention. They've lost it in the downhill. Bad move. You are in trouble. And the problem is, when a race goes, I mean, I have been in that situation so many times where the leaders go over, you go into the descent, you're breathing through your ears when you go over the top, you're really battling, you may be taking on board gel, you're feeling empty. There's so many reasons for it. And I might be saying, you know, look, guys, you've got to close this, but I've been in that position. And the problem is, you are trying to empty everything and you can't get back. It's so frustrating, really, really difficult to do.
Well, let me tell you something. We've been focusing on this chase, but you know, that group really focusing. This is the chase group, you know. Well, this isn't actually. This is the back of the main group, the chase group behind. And this is category 1. And I'm going to say that because at 14.5 kilometres, they are up and over the Kortekeer. And Hayden Pucker has gone off the front.
Right, close your ears. If you don't want to hear anything about the race that happened in the semi-finals, Hayden Pucker, mate, absolutely astounding stuff. Well done, buddy. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but fantastic to see.
I tell you what, he's not come down off the high of racing on Friday because he's still absolutely going for it. Michael Knudsen closing the gap. Stefan Van Els, well, they know the danger now. Lionel Yasin is in there as well as Jasper Paradines. Paradines and Plantro not chasing quite as hard, but Kaminsky and Talbot all 2 seconds back now as Pucker pushes on. This is the descent, however, and I think this group will all reconvene before they get to the Valkenburg climb.
They're going to have a little. They're going to have coffee and biscuits before
the
conference.
They're going to reconvene.
They're going to reconvene for the meeting.
We're taking a break and we'll reconvene at 3.
Okay, I hope we're still not here at 3 CEST, which is where we are here at the Full Speed Events studio, bringing you the commentary for MyWhoosh. Absolute pleasure to be here, or part of the many things that we get to cover. Fantastic to cover that action in the semi-finals of the Worlds. It was fantastic to see that we were back here in Belgium, though, immediately afterwards for a number of reasons. One is that I think this is a great course to follow up a World Championship semi-finals. It's fast, it's furious, but it's not one long drag. It's also happens to be the same weekend that we are supporting the Flanders Charentes weekend. Various distances from 25k to 250 kilometres of Flanders-style road in and around France, including a new youth ride and a vintage ride here in the Charentes. And we at Full Speed Events, that's the team, including Emma and myself, were lucky enough actually to head on out. Michael Plantro, a ride in France. Maybe we could get Michael Plantro to come down and ride the Charentes.
It's not that far away, you know. He's about 3 hours.
That's not that far. Michael, if you want to come and ride at the weekend next year, do let us know. In fact, if anybody wants to ride next week, at the weekend next year, just let us know.
He should have ridden.
We live 2 doors down in terms of our studios from the race organizer. It's really, really key. Our studios here in France are 2 doors away. Well, so we will get you a ride, mate, if you want to do that.
Well, can I just say that we were also very lucky at the Full Speed Events studios, and the team last night got to go for dinner with the one and only Johan Museo.
Yep.
3-time winner of the Tour of Flanders.
Former world champion, true Flandrian, and a rider who would love this. And I can't help but think that Museo and the other rider that the team from Full Speed Events got to see last night and have a chat with, Nico Martin, they would love this terrain. They would love this racing. We just need to twist their arms to get them out and racing because it's explosive. You've got that boom, crash, bang, done, out, rest. and again in another kick. Be really interesting to see them in action. A little bit older than they were at their peak, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be really honest, I don't think either of them, even with their undoubted class, would match our riders on the Sunday Race Club now.
Oh,
that is a challenge thrown down to them.
Dangerous speaking. Well, X100
Well, it is, because they're all quicker than me.
With Alex Heaney, Christoph Thiem, Tatu Koinston, Jonas Bjarhead and Carlos Ospina, Phil Graves, all at the front of this Category 2 pack. They're coming up for the 20-kilometre mark. It's still a huge group, all still together here in Category 2.
Big group. I mean, they've distanced people.
We've
got gaps, we've got distances, we've got breaks. This is what Belgium racing is all about on MyWhoosh. If you want to jump in, if you want to join Matthias Van Heet here, if you like the look of the skin suit he's wearing on MyWhoosh, let us know. It is warm work. I'm sure Matthias will be able to attest to that, because wherever you are in the world, unless you are racing in Antarctica, and we're still waiting for an Antarctic researcher, a polar researcher, to get in touch and tell us that they're racing there on the Sunday Race Club, just jump on board. Go to mywhoosh.com, download the app. Now, Mikel Plantero, we saw him working hard. At the moment, he is in front of a very select group of riders here. The riders behind Simmons, Knudsen, Pucker, Vujasin, De Wet, 5-6 seconds or so. And at the moment, Mikel Plantero, who's coming in to our next climb at 18.2k, this is the Valkenburg, has got a gap. Can he go for a long one here, Emma?
Well, that would be an interesting question to see. Plantero really stopped.
You really didn't want to say no there,
No, I
did you?
didn't, but I was just thinking, back in July, he finished 4th on this course. This is a type of course that suits Mikel Plantero. He could go for a long one, and he could legitimately break away and stay away from this group. I was also just thinking about something you just said about the atmosphere and the weather and the heat and where you ride in the world, and it just made me think about something I saw from some of the riders from Singapore who competed in the semi-finals on Friday, and the time and the humidity and the temperature there being a real challenge for them. And they, on their social media pages, do take a look, because one of the let me put my teeth in. The physiology teams in Singapore got together and they actually raced in a controlled environment to keep the temperature down and the humidity down to allow them to race, because in Singapore at the moment it's so hot if riding and racing from home. That's
really interesting now, because one of the riders at the Mountain Bike World Championships, where we were in Andorra, that was at altitude, so the race base, not the top of the climb, was at 1,500 meters, and the riders there, one of the riders who was on the podium said they have been sleeping in an altitude tent for 5 weeks prior to the racing to be able to race at altitude. If you're racing on the Sunday Race Club, you need to optimize your racing, and if you're in a really challenging environment, it's brilliant to see that transfers, that using the technology that we have, not just to race on MyWhoosh, which is obviously cutting edge, but also to prepare yourself for things like the World Championships. And don't forget, lots more opportunities at MyWhoosh, the UCI official partner for 2024, 25 and 26. Can't wait to see what happens in our finals. I'm going into 2025 and 26. Who's going to be representing their nation? Which nations will be at the top of the tree? SS, well, he's looking to be at the top of the tree here. He was on storming form last week. Can he replicate that on a very different course here this week? We're going to have to find out. We're back in with Category 2, though, at the moment. There is just under 1 kilometre separating the group, with Matthias Van Heet on the left-hand side of your screen, with the group on the right-hand side of your screen. So Milostic, Montoya, Alcase, Rimbaud, Becker, all chasing hard. Montoya chasing as well. They're trying to get back, but the distance has opened up, and at the moment it's looking about 1 kilometre separating the group, with the Alcase from the group containing Matthias Van Heet. Oh, the groups are split all over the roads at the moment, but the leading group's still big, and even the chase group's still big. Look at the size of this group here. Clays, Rushman, Goodall, Alcase, Almeida,
Kalman and Brune are further back at the moment, but really interesting to see on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen at the moment, you can see the multiple groups in Category 2, the green dots on the road, and how spread out they are, but also how bunched they are with the groups. It's not riders in ones and twos. There's definitely groups out there still battling on the road.
So currently at 22.6k, which means that we're about a kilometre or so away from the next climb by my reckoning here. The next climb, a non-categorised climb. Now, we've got the Kortekeer that we've had, we've got the Valkenberg, which we've had. We're moving in Category 2 from the Valkenberg to the Eichenberg Hill. Now, this is a non-categorised climb for purposes of the mountains classification, but I'm sure, Emma, you've got the stats on it, being the data-driven person that you are.
Well, yes, it's 1.4 kilometres in length with an average gradient of around 4.5%, and it comes in very quick. I can't think of the word I wanted to use there. It comes in
very quickly.
Well, it
comes in quick succession.
In quick succession. Well, it's not really in succession because it's the Eichenberg climb that is in quick succession to the Eichenberg Hill, but it is the precursor to the Eichenberg climb. The Eichenberg
now that's
Hill.
A good word.
Well, it took me a little while, but at 1.4 kilometres, it's a long climb. The Eichenberg climb coming after it at 1.6. These two in conjunction with each other. Really like a camel's back, if you imagine that double humped profile. So really challenging to our riders. Well, at the moment, one of the riders not being challenged by the course and not being challenged.
Do you mean a dromedary?
Yes, exactly. And not being challenged by the course is Hayden Pucker. He's still out front of this Category 1 race, a 6-second gap back to the chasers. On the left-hand side of your screen, I'm not looking over to Matt's side of the studio because I think he's very pleased with himself at the moment. But at 28.9 kilometres, we're watching SS working his way through the Category 4 race field and up on to the top of the climb here at 28.9 kilometres, 29 kilometres, just gone underneath the polka dot banner, signifying the end of the Eichenberg climb. It's a long run now to the Quermont, and SS is leading the group, but Squilari, Cansara, Velez, Spratt, Sanchez are all there.
They've all come back in. The sprint leader in here, the polka dot skin suit wearer, the leader in that competition. Also in this group of riders, Category 3 working well, looking good at the moment. Really interesting to see Pablo Popovic in this group as well, like Dello, Truba, Spratt, East, Montoya. East in that sprint jersey, Van der Zandt in here from the United States, got Zazari in from Canada, real mix of riders. Now, let's go in with Ben Lee. Ben, one of our really strong riders, a rider who we know is going to be absolutely flying here today. The question for me really is going to be all about can he stay out and keep on pushing. He's got to keep on going, looking very good at the minute. Interesting to see Mr. 100 just dropping back a little bit from this group on this climb towards the summit. He's got to push to go on over the top. He won't want to be distanced. He's super experienced at this, and he knows where he can work. He's got himself back on again. If you are going to take a breather, you want to do it as it eases, but not over the top. And that's what he did.
The 21 riders that we were with last time we were with the leaders in Category 2, I couldn't split them at the moment. I think they're all still together at the top of the Eichenberg Hill. They're going to drop down the other side and straight into the Eichenberg climb, used over 40 times between 1956 and 2015 in the Tour of Flanders. For those who are interested in English, the Eichenberg climb translates to Oak Hill climb in English.
One of my favourite climbs.
There we go. But this leading group of Category 2 riders and racers now really pushing on. A little bit of a stretch, but the riders on the back of the group just pushing in now to that group and staying comfortable. Back in Category 1, they've reeled Hayden Pucker back in. And I say they, well, Kaminsky and Knudsen now with Pucker. 3 riders clear: Vujasin, Van Elst, Plantro, Vert and Paradians. They are looking like they're 2 or 3 seconds back, but Lionel Vujasin is doing the work. So there is Stefan van Elst and Michael Plantro. They're doing the work to bring the group all back together again at the front of Category 1. Vujasin just steadying on the pace at the moment as Van Elst comes up onto the wheel. Plantro comes as well. These riders all now reforming after the action from the Pucker breakaway.
Yep, the scramble to get back in. I mean, they know just how dangerous he is. They also know where they want to get him back. They've timed that to perfection, coming in together into the base. I mean, great riding from all our category riders. In Category 4, Brian White still clear off at the front. Category 3, you can see the big pack of riders. Category 2, pack of riders chasing the lead into the climb. Category 1, back together again. Belgian never, ever fails to bring us a great race action. Here you can ride this, one of the many worlds on MyWhoosh. You can jump on board on whatever type of course you want to ride. There is loads of courses on there to do so please do make sure you download the app. You can jump on board, you can come and race here in Belgium. If you're going to come and race in Belgium, it's so important to know what you've got in front of you by riding and making sure you also keep up to date with the course and where you are on that course profile, which we can see now. So let's bring you up to date with what we've got in front of our riders. We're right in the heart of the Eichenberg. We've got the Eichenberg climb and the hill, so you can see the first red section, the Kortekeer, the second red section, the Valkenberg. Then we have the Eichenberg hill. That is not labelled. It's just before the Eichenberg climb. The finale, though, is brutal. Quermont and Paterberg.
It is indeed, and our Category 4 leader at 34 kilometres into the race, the closest rider to that Quermont. Our Category 1 leading pack at 25 kilometres. They're coming towards the Eichenberg climb, 9 kilometres separating the leaders in Category 1 with the leaders in Category 4. And that run into the finish that our Category 4 racers are about to face, the climb of the Quermont, 2.2 kilometres, an average gradient of 4.2. But look how steep that early wall is on the Quermont. They then drop down and into the Paterberg. It's short, but it seriously is a wall of cobble.
And we usually see everybody giving it absolutely everything on the Quermont climb to go over with the leaders. You've got that step descent, does allow a little bit of a comeback if you've been dropped, but then the Paterberg climb, we'll see it go down to 1, 2, 3 riders generally. That final climb, absolutely critical before we come in and round. It is absolutely brutal. It's short, it's sharp, and very tough. And that is where we see that last, it's almost the last selection prior to the sprint.
Well, it's where Kaminski went when he took the win on this course in Belgium. It's going to be interesting to see whether he executes the same tactics today, because that final climb is a wall, an average gradient of 11.7. 14% it gets to very early on that climb. And let's not forget, even the run into the finish has a nasty kicker.
It has, and it's taken at full bore in that wind-up. It comes in right where you want to wind up for the sprint. It's going to be very tough. Now, out on the course with Category 3, we're currently in with Henry East. He is the rider with Nicholas Spratt, who have 17 seconds on that big chasing pack behind East and Spratt in action. East with that sprint jersey. In Category 3, well, you can see we've got Guarin, Juan Villada Guarin here, looking focused, looking smooth on the bike there. He's looking like he's got this group around him with plenty of support from some really big names. Arrego Ramirez, Allport in with him here, Abello in the squad. It's a strong squad here chasing riders in front. And at this stage in the racing, it really does pay off, doesn't it? Get in a group, get company when you're on the flatlands, much more so than when you're on the climb. Currently on the climb, Nassim Mendakowitz, Category 2, attacking up this climb, putting the pressure on, seeing 6.5, 7 watts a kilo coming out from Nassim Mendakowitz, coming up to the top of the Eichenberg climb. Their second of these duo of climbs. It's very quickly into the descent here. I can't imagine he wants to break away. He has wanted to put the pressure on, but the group behind in Category 2 have not broken.
Well, he took the win last time here in July in Category 2. That time it was a 7-up sprint, just 4 seconds separating the top 7 riders, and Mendakowicz took that. He will know that. He will know that this is a big group and a strong group, and he will now be working out how he can win the race. And he's doing that by putting the pressure on early. I don't think he's trying to go away. I just think he's trying to make their legs hurt.
I'm not sure it's succeeded.
Well, I'll tell you somebody else.
Do you know what? Do you know why? Sorry, I know we got Pucker on the move again. He's attacking. I'll be really quick. I'm not sure it succeeded because I don't think they really chased. I think they were content. They knew they had enough volume behind. If they all waited, he can do what he wants on the front. They can pull him back. So you need, for that to work, you need people to respond. And I don't think there was a response. Response is coming. Knudsen again going out and away with Pucker.
Pucker's being so aggressive today.
These two together.
The combination of confidence and power and belief and training all coming together, giving Hayden Pucker absolute belief and commitment in himself today, and he's absolutely showing that here in Belgium. So Pucker in 1, Knudsen in 2, closing the gap down and coming up onto his wheel. Vujasin now picking up the pace with Kaminski behind. They're closing down the gap. It's 2 seconds to Knudsen and Pucker as they continue to push. They're on the climb at the moment at 28.3. This is the Eichenberg climb, and this continuing pushing from Pucker on the front, I think is going to pick the pace up in this Category 1 race.
And we are seeing dot after dot be detached on the left-hand side of our screens. That's the radar view that you're seeing there. Each disc, each dot detached is another rider taken out of selection, taken out of contention. Absolutely critical, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that response come from the riders behind, because when one rider goes, everybody goes, 2 riders, everyone's going, 3 riders, you're going, uh-oh, 4 riders, you're going, oh, better get a wriggle on. By 5 riders. Panic stations, let's get out there quick, because 5 riders at this stage would be enough to go to the finish. The riders of this class, once they put the hammer down, they know they can do this. They know the distance it's achievable as well. That's critical. This group now at the lead, this is where the win is going to come from. You are not going to see anybody who's not in that leading group get back in contention. This is the group of riders on a mission. They're coming up onto the back wheel here. You can see riders of the caliber of Hassan Sultan and Ian McCarroll here in Category 2. Great Category 2 riders are now going to feel the full force of the Category 1 leaders coming past.
They are indeed going to feel the force, and the force is coming. So Knudsen, Vujasin, Kaminski all in the mix there, about to close this down. Interesting to see where they're going as they go underneath the polka dot banner, signifying the end of the climb. Vujasin setting the fastest time, Pucker in 2, Knudsen in 3. De Wert is there as well as Kaminski. That is a class group, a world-class group of 5 riders now leading the Category 1 race. Well, Vujasin setting the fastest time up the climb, 2 minutes 55 seconds on the Eichenberg. De Wert there into Kaminski, Pucker and Knudsen. 16 seconds back, Mendakowicz in Category 2 coming through in 6th place. Heaney, Winfield, Bjarhed and Vanhe all close behind to Mendakowicz, but Mendakowicz was the rider in Category 2 pushing on that climb and setting the fastest time in Category 2. Category 3, well, SS and Squilari with Spratt and Yeese went through the quickest there. And Category 4, well, it was Stefan Proust and Ola Warren who were the fastest up that climb.
Really interesting to see how Jeff Rooney here, one man who's spent plenty of time climbing in the last week, looking really good here. Jeff must be really glad it wasn't something like the Paso Alto or the Jebel Yes or the
no, we went up the Everesting climb last week.
Well, I know we did, and it's like, Jeff, have you really not had
Deja
enough going
vu.
up? 100%. But to do it again this week would have been grim. It's nice that it's short, but Jeff, absolutely.
He's riding strongly, 12th place at the moment.
Super ride by Jeff, the power, Rooney.
Well, Dadson, McMurtry, Carvalho, Lenore, Rusinek are the riders ahead of him down the road. And he's coming up on the Jacques Rusinek's wheel. That's a great wheel to come up onto the back of it, 37.6 kilometres into the race. behind Henry Yeast and Nicholas Spratt doing an amazing job in category 3 at the moment. This is the type of course for me that suits Yeast and Spratt, both very similar riders in terms of being able to handle that high power for a short period of time.
And to then recover and do it again, you need the experience. I think so much energy can be saved. I mean, we know Henry East will have analysed all of the courses. He'll know exactly where to go. He'll know exactly which the gradients are, where it eases, where it's steeper, where to put that power down. And I always think that a course like this is a course where if you know the course, you can save energy, you can save power, you can be really, really efficient. And that, for me, is absolutely critical because the margins between these riders are small. You know, the way that the grouping works in our race categories here on the Sunday Race Club, it means that the races are super competitive. And you need every advantage. If you know what the course is, if you can save, let's say you save 5 watts on one of these climbs, that is a huge saving of energy, though, when you come to the finish or when there's an attack. So you've got to keep that in reserve. And I think the riders who know how to ride, who know the feel, absolutely key. Now, in with this big group of chasers here, Cansara, Velez, Scolaria in here, Angarita Reyes in the mix as well, Amaro in there. This group of Category 3 looking good. Nick Scolaria, another man. We talk about riders who know the courses inside out. Scolaria, another of our regular riders, and that's being shown by the fact that he's got that polka dot skin suit. The leader at the moment at the 37.7k mark. He's on the penultimate climb. He should be able to take away the polka dot skin suit at the end of this, but it's all down to those points that are amassed on each and every one of our climbs. Meanwhile, in with Category 2, 34.2k covered for them. So they're not all that far off that self-same climb, the Quermont climb.
Yeah, well, and Krasnich is the rider off the front at the moment. Mendakowicz has come back into the pack. Van Hee, Bjarhead, Winfield, Ospina, Graves. I tell you, that's a who's who of Category 2 riders. They could really, any of them, take the win. Koinsinen is in there. Ospina is in there. X100 is riding on the back. Bert Ken, this is a course for Bert Ken. He has got phenomenal kick and some phenomenal power on him when he applies it. I don't think this is over yet, and whilst Krasnich is out the front, I don't think it's over. There's still over 10 kilometres of racing to go.
Over 10k to go. Mr. X100 here on the front, winding it up. Graves, Van Hee, Winfield responding. They all want to go. They know that this man capable of really winding it up. And I think he's doing a classic technique here, which is starting to wind, starting to put the power down early, because you want to go into this climb. He knows that Krasnich is up the road. He doesn't want to let him go too far. And he can combine the mission of pullback Krasnich with the mission of extending the climb by pushing in early.
Multiple missions.
Simultaneously. Should you choose to accept it, this message will self-destruct in 10 seconds.
Multiple missions. Well, whilst X100 is on multiple missions at the same time, Krasnich, Bjarhead, Van Hee all pulling as well. They're rolling really quickly into the base of the climb. On the left-hand side of your screen, that is the leading group in Category 1, and they are absolutely motoring their way at the moment through the Category 2 race field.
Leading group away at the front in Category 1. One rider away on Mission Impossible in Category 2. What's happening in Categories 3 and 4? Well, I mean, with Category 3, they have got a little bit of work to do here. We're just in with a chasing group, just taking a little bit of a check at whether the gap is holding. It is at the moment. It's about 9 seconds to Spratt and to East. At the moment at 39.1k, that's Category 3. Category 4 at the moment, they're at 40.5k. It's not very far away.
No, it's not, and I've got 10 riders at the front of the Category
3.
Yeah, because you were just talking about Category 4.
Would you like to steal some coffee?
Well, I
think
it all. No, I think I might need it at the moment because these riders are absolutely motoring. Spratt and Yeast doing a phenomenal job at the moment. 10 riders in the chase group behind them. So really, really hotting up in Category 3 on that run into the finish. They're about to come to the 5 kilometre mark. on that run. And well, in category 4, White has stayed clear of the entire race field. He's now 3.3 kilometers from the finish. The wall is in front of him. He's got the Pattenberg, and can he hold it together? The chase group behind really motoring. James Krasnich now 15 seconds clear of the chase group in category 2. I can't believe they've let him go.
Well, yes and no. I think if you've got somebody as strong as James Krasnich, what distance would you let him get?
I wouldn't let him get 18 seconds, I'll tell you that.
I'd let him get 30, I reckon.
Why?
Because he's going to burn himself out trying
No,
to get
he's
those
not.
30. He would, yeah, come on. There is only one thing facing James Krasnich. That is go. And go hard. And go now. Take away as much as you can and go to the finish. Because they've let him go, which means he's got to burn himself. Every match he's got to be burned. He's got to have nothing left. That means that when they do put the pressure on, they could get him back. Let's take a little bit of a look back in category 4 at the moment. We're just making our way in through the tunnels. This group coming in towards the Pattenberg at the minute. Looks like Cadabona in here, looking good. Where's Leonardo? We've got West, we've got Cridland, Warren, Datsun, a real who's who. And the riders are really starting to go hard here behind White. White just easing down here. He had a little bit of time, a little bit of a gap. 54 seconds may well be. There's technical issues for White en route on his way around. He goes underneath the banner on to the final climb. That is the Pattenberg climb. Behind this big group of riders going to be on the way up towards the summit. Brett McMurtry now pushing on here. 5.2 watts per kilo. They're going in hard here. This is going to be key. Right, they are likely to come closing in very quickly on the rider in front. Can they pull him right back down? McMurtry senses the opportunity is here. The Pattenberg is coming. That is the start of the climb. This is going to be brutal. 400 meters, 42 meters of ascent. Absolutely critical part of the course. If you've made the selection, now is the time to go. All our riders here on MyWhoosh facing the same course in categories 4, 3, 2 and 1. All of our riders out on course, subject to the same checks across all of our race categories as well. It's not just your top 3, 5, 10, 15
Matt,
or one category. It's everybody in White here really having to fight.
I have a question for you.
Go on.
So we just saw the riders on the chase with a shorter time gap to White than White with to them. Explain to me why on White's screen and on West's screen the time gap may differ.
Okay, so the time gaps are calculated on the speed and the distance covered. So they are a live time gap. If this was, for example, the Tour of Britain, which we've got full speed events crew working on at the moment, and they are partway around the race route, they might put the clock, they might start the stopwatch when the leader goes through, and they might stop the stopwatch when the chasing group goes through. That is a time check at a fixed point. The time differences between the riders are calculated on the speed and the distance covered. So if you're further down the course with a different speed, you could well get a different calculation being made. That's also why it jumps up and down a lot, because obviously those speeds and gradients will change. So category 4, bottom right hand side of your screen, the leader on the road, 43.4k covered for Brian White. Behind 13 seconds behind him is West. All these riders really fighting the way up this Pattenberg climb. Jeff Rooney coming up towards the top of the climb. The riders braking. All the groups really are being smashed apart in category 4. Category 3 into the base of the climb and onto the climb. The leading rider, Spratt East, quickly closing in on the back wheel here of Rooney. So they're going to be up on him fairly quickly. Spratt in category 3 leading that out. Jeff really giving it some here as he comes up towards the top of the climb. This is the last major climb of the day for Rooney. There's a rise into the line. I'm not going to call it a climb. He's there. Come on, buddy. Last push. This is it. Last big kick. Last few pedal strokes. So then you know that finish line is not far away. 12th place at the moment. This is a good result for Jeff. Going to be top 15 here today. He's just got to keep on pushing behind him. Category 3 are coming hard, but this is the Category 4 leader. He went away early. I think he's paid for his efforts as we come in towards the finish.
Well, he has, because West is coming, and Alex West pushing on hard at the moment. The man in second place with 1 kilometre to go. It's about 150 metres separating White and West at the moment, maybe even less now. But can Brian White make it to the finish line first? Can Alex West catch him? We're looking at about a 12-second gap with 700 metres to go. Well, with 700 metres to go, White is still leading this Category 4 charge. West continues to go, but Brian White has picked up the pace here. White has seen the danger. Carbona and Cridland are behind, battling it out with Warren and Connell and Dadson. It's going to be a big sprint for third place, I think, but I think we're going to see 2 single riders come across the line in Category 4. Brian White currently in the lead. He's in Category 4, but he's wearing the green skin suit at the moment of the sprint lead. The gap is yo-yoing at the moment as West kicks again. Can he bring this down in the final sprint? Can White hold this? West is coming. West is bringing it down. It's now 9 seconds and he kicks again. So Alex West continues to kick. He's got 400 metres to go. The gap is still coming down. White now still in the lead here. I think West is going to run out of road, because that's the UCI banner and this is Brian White. White is going to take the win here in Category 4. However hard Alex West has chased, White has stayed away. Your winner in Category 4, Brian White. Well, Alex West comes through for second place in Category 4. The chase is on behind, though, because Connell, Carbona and Warren. It's Tim Connell, I think, who's going to get the better of Carbona and Warren today. So Connell comes through for third place. Carbona and Warren coming through for 4th and 5th. Cridland, I think, just missing out in 6th.
And the chase is on behind, because we can see Category 3 on their way. And it looks like Amaro and Spratt here on the way in towards the line with Henry East. This is going to be a real battle. Amaro going up into race lead at the moment. They're not far behind.
No, Amaro is there, so is Spratt. The race is on here. Can Nicholas Spratt push on? But Amaro's pushed. He's kicked at 7 watts per kilo. Can he hold it? That's the gate of the city, but it's still 400 metres to the finish line. Can Nicholas Spratt do anything about this? Henry Yeast, I think, is out of it at 12 seconds back, but Spratt and Amaro. Nicholas Spratt chasing hard, but Amaro, Rafael Amaro at the front of the race at the moment is going to see the UCI banner. He's going to go underneath the banner first to take the win in the Category 3 race. The Frenchman Amaro winning in Belgium today in Category 3. Nicholas Spratt coming through for second, but the sprint is on behind, and it's Angarita Reyes who's going to take the sprint here in Category 3. Velez and Montoya behind. That was fast and furious, and the racing just keeps coming.
It does indeed. These are the leaders in Category 2 on the descent down at the moment. Our 2 riders away, Mendakowicz and Krasnich, chased by Mr. X100 Espina, Bjarhead Theme and Co. They're 7 seconds down. This climb, the final climb, will be critical. We've got this run underneath the dungeons down here in the subterranean part of the ancient city here in Belgium. However, we have the chasing group. This is a big group now. They can't afford to look at each other. The 2 riders in front, they are on one mission. Stay clear. Keep pushing all the way to the line. Worry about that finish when you get there. And meanwhile, behind, they know they've got to get the gap down. They cannot leave it too late. We know that the power is going down in front. Krasnich winding it up on the front. Mendako is starting to respond to it. The power is lifting. You can see the chasers behind in the distance. You can see the leaders in front. The 2 sets of riders know the distance. They know the gap. They can see what they've got facing them. They know they're coming on to the Paterberg. Mr. X100 leading the chase at the moment from Bjarhead, from Ospina, from Graves. This run will be key. Who is going to be the king here in Flanders? Whose line is going to roar and which one is going to go out with a little bit of a whimper? Because this will show who has got that strength, that courage to take on the Paterberg that has been so decisive in so many races here on MyWhoosh. In towards the base of the climb goes Mr. X100, leading them out.
Well, Krasnich, Mendakowicz, 8 seconds up the road. X100, Ospina, Graves, Biarhead, all filing in behind. Coinston and Heaney are all in there as well. And the race is now alight in this Category 2 race. It's a huge group of riders all contending in Category 2. 2 riders down, then a chase group, and Ospina's leading the charge. They're bringing it back because Ospina is absolutely motoring up the climb at the moment. It's down. Those are the 2 riders ahead, and the group is coming back. Ospina, Coinston, Biarhead, Vanhee, Graves, Thiem, X100. They are coming up onto the back of the 2 leaders. Bert Ken is there as well. Always a danger move, the Turkish rider on this course. But Krasnich and Mendakowicz are being pulled back in on the Paterberg.
This is the gap coming down. You can see the lead riders in front. They're going to be mixed in as well. Mendakowicz opening up a little bit of a gap to Krasnich, behind a little bit of a gap to Koistonen, who's come back at him hard here. Is Tatu Koistonen, the man who's just pulled on the skin suit of the fastest rider across the climbs overall. Is he able to get back to the wheel of Mendakowicz? Right-hand side of your screen. Mendakowicz leading. The chase is on behind. Left-hand side, Category 1. They're into the tunnels, but Category 2 running out of road.
Well, Category 2 may be running out of road, but Michael Knudsen's run out of steam because it was 5 riders at the lead of that Category 1 pack. It's now 4.
And we're back in with Maciej Mendakowicz being chased by Carlos Ospina here. Didic on the hunt, so is Krasnich. So are the riders in the front here with Koistonen and Graves in. Biarhead, this is going to be an absolute bum fight to the line. I have no idea who's going to take this out. It could be any of those riders.
Well, we've got 1,300 metres to find out. 1,200 metres, 1,200. 1,200 metres to find out. Let me just put my head back into gear. But Krasnich, Mendakowicz, Coinston all in the mix. X100 and Biarhead, well, they are chasing hard. But right at the front of this race, it's now Carlos Ospina in 1, coming into the last 1,000 metres with Krasnich, Coinston and Mendakowicz. 4 riders clear, then a 5-second gap back to the chase group with X100 and Heaney and Phil Graves. This is going to be a seriously close race, but I cannot think that the 4 riders up front are going to let this group get back on. Well, they might not have anything to say about it.
They might not, because the chase coming from Mr. X100. He could well lead that group up on, then into this sweeping bed. The ascent has started. Here we go.
Well, Krasnich is leading it out, but Coinston has gone at 9 watts per kilo. Ospina is trying to dig, and Ospina is trying to go too. Ospina hits 9 watts per kilo, but Tatu Coinston is the rider in the polka dot skin suit, pushing on. He's been the strongest rider in the climbing sections in Category 2 today, and he's on the climb towards the finish at the moment. Absolutely executing the climb to perfection. He's got 2 seconds from Ospina, Krasnich and Mendakowicz. Heaney is now coming behind, but he's not going to make it. The winner is going to come from this group, and at the moment it's Coinston. Coinston is leading the charge from Krasnich and Ospina. Mendakowicz, who led for some time, is further back, but that's the UCI banner. Tatu Coinston's going to take the win in Category 2 today. Phenomenal execution of climbing skills from Coinston. Ospina looks like he's going to come through in second from Krasnich, from Mendakowicz. Phil Graves may be leading the charge here behind, and they've pushed right the way on. Vanhee, Biarhead, Ospina all in the mix, but Category 2 did not disappoint, and I can confirm Phil Graves rounds out the top 5.
Fantastic racing. All the results on MyWhoosh.com. In the menu, hit the results. We're back in with Category 1 with Jasin, De Wert, Pucker and Kaminski, the 4 riders in contention. Knudsen, well, he didn't just blow the doors, well and truly got blown off as he came in towards finishing at 21 seconds. That is going to be game over. Vajassin's gone early though. Pucker trying to answer him, so it's Kaminski and De Wert. A solo breakaway from Lionel Vajassin in that polka dot skin suit. Can the riders behind do anything about this? Pucker, Kaminski, De Wert. The gap is opening.
Well, the gap is opening and there's 1.5 kilometers still to go. This is a long charge from Vuyasin, but he's having a very measured effort here. Pucker is gone. 2.2 watts per kilo. Pucker's going, no way. One of you guys do the chasing. But I tell you something, Kaminsky is not going to chase Vuyasin. They race on the same squad. He's going to let Vuyasin go, and then he's going to try and take second place in the sprint. Pucker now starting to pick up the pace. Seb Vert is right off the back, so this is Pucker's job to answer. I don't think he's got an answer left because Lionel Vuyasin is moving on, the Belgium rider from Belgium in Belgium on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. He's got 1,000 meters to go.
Right hand side of your screen, Hayden Pucker at the moment looking to try and close this gap down. Kaminsky's right behind him. Kaminsky's marking out the rider from the United States of America. Pucker trying to wind up now, trying to get back. Vujasin though has got the gap, he's got the speed, he's got the distance. It should be enough, but anything can happen on this final ascent, this final slope. They're both on it.
Well, Kaminsky comes up over the back of Pucker and now starts to launch his attack. I don't think he wants to close down Vuyasin, but who knows what's going to happen. Lionel Vuyasin is P1 at the moment in category 1 with 500 meters to go. Kaminsky on the right hand side of your screen is doing the chasing, but at the moment it's Vuyasin. Kaminsky is over 5 seconds back, but he's coming. He's not going to have enough road to catch, I don't think. I think Lionel Vuyasin is going to take the win here today in category 1 in that polka dot skin suit. It's going the way of the best climbers today because each category, it's the polka dot skin suit going over the line in one. Kaminsky is definitely trying to ensure that second place at the moment. Seb Tvet is through to third, but your winner today in category 1, it's Lionel Vuyasin who takes the win on the Sunday Race Club in Belgium. Behind the chase is on, and Kaminsky's coming through the line for second place today in category 1. Seb Tvet is going to come through for third. Hayden Pucker, our long-time attacker in category 1, who made the play today, rewarded with 4th place. Michael Knudsen hung with the group as long as possible, but just couldn't stay with the pace on the Papenburg climb today, coming through in 5th place in category 1.
A real battle across all 4 of our race categories. Full results on the mywhoosh.com pages on the website. You can jump on board there. Just go to results, find the men's race for the Sunday Race Club qualifier race number 2. All the splits, the times, the power, all our riders, of course, subject to verification, as are those results. So all of the riders will be checked before, during, and after the racing, including, of course, our riders in category 1. Michael Knudsen, our rider, making his way into the line in those prizes. All of our riders in the top 5 of each of their respective categories getting prize money once those results are verified. The prize money equal across the men's and women's race fields, as always, here on MyWhoosh. Good to see Mohamed Al Case, a good ride by him here today, kicking his way in through the line in category 2. The riders coming through behind him to take positions, but let's take a look at the overall positions at the end here. Category 1, Lionel Vujasin leading them home, 1 hour, 4 minutes and 4 seconds. Behind him, Kaminsky in 2, De Vert in 3, Pucker in 4, Knudsen in 5, Paradines in 6. In category 2, Koistinen from Spina and Krasnich, they're your top 3, with Mendakovic just missing out on a top 3 position by fractions of a second. Emma, do we have categories 3 and 4?
Well,
you said 4 and 5 there.
We do.
3 and 4.
Amaro taking the win in category 3 from Spratt, and Garita, Velez and Gomez. In category 4, it was Brian White from Alex West, Tim Connell, Cadabona and Warren rounding out the top 5.
All those results available. You can see the split times on your screen. They're live at the moment. A 1:04 for Belgium. Emma, we've seen times be
much like we saw in the women's category 1 race. Today, there's a much closer margin back to category 2, and that's because I think those category 1 riders, well, there's a few tired legs out there.
And not surprising, if you haven't watched the MyWhoosh powered UCI semi-finals for the World Championships,
Do it.
then please do jump on board. Have a watch of that and the public qualifiers as well. Really interesting, because when you mix together those races, you actually have the format and all 3 stages that are going to be used in those finals. Between now and then, the World Championship finals coming live from Abu Dhabi in October. We've got lots more racing on the Sunday Race Club, lots more racing on MyWhoosh. You can download MyWhoosh for that. Don't forget, you can get hold of the training plans. You can join Emma live training on there. If you're one of our female riders at the moment, you can join in with the WOW training session, the women's only workout, and that is on
Thursday,
Thursdays.
6:30 UK time.
If you're one of the men, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. But there is rumours within the Full Speed Events HQ that we may see Emma on those. Don't forget, you can catch up with Emma on the Virtual Velo podcast. You can catch up with me on the Crosscast podcast and all over social media. And you can catch up with Emma at Biking Emma. You can catch up with me at Matt Fix of Pain. But most importantly of all, make sure you catch up with everything on MyWhoosh, on the MyWhoosh Indoor Cycling Facebook page, on the website, and all across social media on Instagram and Facebook at MyWhoosh. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you do one thing today, get somebody else to tick that subscribe button as well as yourself. That would be absolutely lovely. But great racing in Belgium. Fantastic to see. We have seen indeed our men's and women's Lions of Flanders roar in action here today. Sorry, it was irresistible. But do make sure that you catch up with us next week when we come back for qualifier race number 3, live on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel, live on Twitch TV with MyWhoosh. But from the team behind the scenes, who are absolutely amazing to make all this happen, from Emma and myself here in the studio, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.